Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather today. I'm meteorologist Al Peterlin. I'd like to talk about the weather health stress for January 19th, 2026. We do keep additional graphics available at tpatw.com, and we do maintain a patient weather storefront on Amazon. Amazon purchases made through our patient weather storefront support the activities of patient weather. Looking at the surface map for the 19th, we have high pressure over most of the nation, but there is that massive cold front hanging from Albany to Philadelphia to Charlotte, back to Atlanta, and all the way back to New Orleans. Lots of cold air will be filtering down through the plains for the remainder of the week. Looking at our vitality index, which is a measure of all of the individual weather elements that might have some impact or stress on human health. And you can see, again, we have that little bit of activity up here in Montana, lots of activity from Texas up through Oklahoma, all the way up the Mississippi Valley through Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Great Lakes, and over much of the middle Atlantic states. Little bit of interesting activity across Florida, and then of course there is that low pressure center trying to exit Maine. Looking at pressure change, we do have falling pressure here along the northern portions of Montana. We have falling pressure here in north of New England, but still hanging across the state of Maine. And interesting, but if you'll notice, we have this butterfly of rising pressure running from Oklahoma through Kansas, all the way up to Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan near the Great Lakes, all across the Ohio and Tennessee Valley, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Tennessee, Kentucky, down here in the south from the Carolina coast up through Virginia to New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and across the state of Florida here to the south. Temperature change. Cold temperatures are coming across the board for the east, but you'll notice by 19th we have the coldest readings starting again right here from the Great Lakes down through the middle Mississippi Valley all the way back to Oklahoma and the panhandle of Texas. Dew point temperature change reflecting very much the same, although you can see some dew point temperatures trying to rise and increase here in Texas, and that may be a portent of things to come. Vapor pressure not picking too much up today. Looking at the change in oxygen availability, you can see we have that risk of asthma, Montana, the Dakotas, lots of risk of asthma up here in eastern Canada, especially right along the cities along the border and the state of Maine. In the south, we have that risk of asthma and arthritis about South Texas, where that moisture is trying to flow in, across Louisiana, stretching across the Gulf all the way to the panhandle of Florida. The risk of migraine, however, is far more extensive and more interesting from eastern New Mexico, across the Texas panhandle, all of Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, and then up across the Great Lakes, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, down into Tennessee and Kentucky, across West Virginia into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and the southernmost aspects of New England, Massachusetts, Connecticut, just a touch into southern New Hampshire and Vermont. Also note a rather strong risk of migraine across the state of Florida. Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Your comments are appreciated. And if you hurt, won't you tell us where you're